Good morning and welcome to You Be the Judge. I'm really happy today to have as our guest the District Attorney of Lackawanna County, Andy Jarbola, who served for a long time and really done a great job with the District Attorney's Office. Andy, welcome, and before the show we talked a little bit about the growth of your office under your tutelage.
Oh, it's been growing. First of all, I want to say thanks for having me on the program, Todd. But when I started back in the office back in 1985, it has grown exponentially under whether it was Ernie Priade or Judge Michael Barrace and now myself, where I'm basically supervising 70 plus employees now.
You know, I can remember as a young boy when my father was the district attorney from I think 46 to 60. He had 4 assistant district attorneys and 3 county detectives, and that was the whole staff.
Yeah, well,
and we had a larger county.
Yeah,
but
more people back then. Yeah.
Criminal law has become far more complex than criminal procedure has.
Oh, absolutely, through time and whatever else. But I now have 20 assistant DAs, 14 county detectives, 3 people working in my victim witness unit, and keeps us busy. A lot of crime out there.
The victim witness unit, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we provide services to victims of crime where we provide support for them, not only basically holding their hands in court, but we advise them that they may be entitled to some funds from the Crimes Victim Compensation Act, and we help them fill out the paperwork. The individuals that work in that part of my office provide notices for any type of court hearings, and they'll do accompaniment with them, whether it's at the time of the preliminary hearing, you know, any court appearance whatsoever. They're there to be side by side with the victims.
You know, that's a great program, and I have a good friend down in Washington, D.C. by the name of Jeff Dion. I don't know whether you know Jeff.
No, I don't.
But he runs an organization called the National Crime Victims Bar Association. And he came up here and we did a seminar a couple years ago. And at the end of the seminar, he got in front of the audience and said, "You probably wonder why I do this." And he walked us through his sister's death at the hands of a killer down in Atlanta, Georgia, and how difficult it was for he and his family to get information and be involved with the criminal justice system because there was nobody advocating for them. And your office has been in the forefront of making sure that the victims have people to help them.
Yeah, people don't realize that, you know, when there's a heinous crime that is committed and the victims' families, how much they are affected by that traumatic event. And a lot of times they have questions, concerns, they hear rumors that something's going on with that particular case. And as I always tell them when I meet with them, don't let that fester. You know, call Debbie in the victim's witness unit, or call the assistant DA that's handling the case, or call myself. You're better off having those questions answered as soon as possible so they don't fester and they get more upset and, you know, they suffer more traumatic experiences. So, you know, that was a great program that was started, you know, even under Ernie Priade. When I started, there was only 1 person in the unit. Now we have 3, and plus a trauma specialist that deals with the victims.
The criminal justice system has changed a great deal over the years, and there's a lot more money available to a district attorney from federal grants, and your office has been great in getting state and federal grants. Talk a little bit with us about some of the programs that you've been able to get help with.
We were able to secure funding in a number of areas. One of them, back when I started as DA, was the Community Justice Program, where we were one of 3 counties in the entire United States to get this money to start up a community justice program, where we started a community office in Carbondale, over in the Hill section, and over in Southside, because those are areas that were very much crime-oriented areas. And we were able to put assistant DAs into the community, dealt with the local magistrates, dealt with all the local officials, the crime watch people, school districts. It's been very successful. I mean, I think our record speaks for itself as one of, you know, safety. And you just take a look at our sister county in Luzerne County. The crime rate down there is a lot worse than what we have up here. And I think we stay or try to stay one step ahead of the game. And I really believe, working proactive in the community has been very successful.
When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the great things that happen in Lackawanna County, because not only you, but our judges have a tendency to think outside the box. So please stay tuned to You Be the Judge. Tad O'Malley here from O'Malley & Langen. If you're used to wearing these, and now you're stuck home wearing these, you may have a disability that prevents you from working. Call us at O'Malley & Langen. We can help you get the Social Security benefits that you've earned. When we talk about thinking outside the box, I can remember being at a First Holy Communion and running into one of the physicians locally who told me about the phenomenon that bath salts were causing medical care. And when I spoke to you about it, you came up with the idea that maybe we could file an injunction. And I had the privilege of working with your office.
Yes, you did.
I think we were the first in the state of Pennsylvania to try that. And then it worked as a stopgap until the legislature caught up with you.
Yeah, I mean, we were one of the people out in the forefront in dealing with the synthetic marijuana and the bath salts. And, we did seek out your help, and you more than welcome, in helping us out in that regard. And we were able to successfully get an injunction to stop this, because at that point in time, there was no legislation in place that made this an illegal controlled substance, but now we have that in place. And I remember talking with some of my fellow DAs, even as close as Harrisburg. They had not even heard of bath salts at that point in time. But now it has caught up to them as well as others throughout the state. And I know our state legislature a couple of years ago made the fix, where now bath salts and synthetic marijuana is now illegal because it is a controlled substance per se.
You have another program that really emanated out of a horrible crime, and that's Marley's Mission. Gene Tallarico, I've been up there with Gene and April Leposki and watched what they do up there. Another great program that I think came out of the office of the district attorneys.
That is correct. Gene Tallarico, my first assistant, took the initiative in getting involved with the equine therapy for victims of any type of crime, more so the rape of that little girl that she suffered how many years ago. And it's been a fantastic effort on everyone's part, and it's proven to be very successful in getting the victims of those traumatic crimes, come out of their shells and becoming, more, let's call them more normal per se, because as you know, the victims of those heinous type crimes, they could suffer for years and years and years afterwards, and they're forgotten about. The system may forget about them, but yet programs such as Marley's Mission and other programs, keeps them in mind, and we try to be there for them even after the crime was committed, maybe even a decade ago, because they're still suffering.
We also recently have, I think Rand Paul is the person that's spearheading this on a national level, recognized that in fact some victimless crimes, some crimes that we have people in jail for long periods of time, particularly the federal sentencing guidelines, has really worked not to help society, but to hurt society. And I heard you say before the break, the cost of an inmate at the county prison that can be avoided by streamlining his release after a probation officer has developed a program for him.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the type of crime, the person's individual background, and the length of sentence, when you're talking about the costs or the daily costs of somebody being in prison, obviously if the probation officer and or the parole department feels as though the individual is ready for release, there's certain things that have to be done to get them into certain programs after they get out of prison. And if they're able to do that especially for non-violent offenders, you have to look at that. And when you take a look at what the state is doing, and it then gets filtered on down to the counties and then down to the municipalities, there's a trickle-down effect. So you really have to keep an eye on that in order to keep up what everybody else is doing, because you don't want to have the prisons busting at the seams with the non-violent criminals. So you have to look at what is best for the system, and so you need to do what needs to be done.
the question about how do we solve the problem of treatment for some of these people with drug problems. And we have a treatment court which was in the forefront, again, the state. And that, I'm sure, you had a lot to do with.
Yeah, at the time, my predecessor, Judge Michael Barrace, right before he had left, had sought out and was able to get some funds for a treatment court program here. And that has grown exponentially as well when you look at the number of people that are in his treatment court program. Because not everyone that has an addiction issue belongs in jail. And this particular program gets them into the treatment court side of it to treat the addiction rather than incarceration. And it seems to be working because what you want to do is to cut down on the recidivism rate. And when you look at a lot of the addicts that are out there, the users, they keep committing these same petty crimes over and over and over again, mostly to support their habit. And when they get the right treatment and the right guidance and the right help from the professionals, that recidivism rate is cut down a great deal. And I think Judge Barrace and Judge Jarbola here in our county, we're very lucky to have them to participate in the treatment court side of it because it has cut down on the crime in Lackawanna County.
You know, and the beauty of the treatment court is it's kind of spilled over into the veterans court and the problems that veterans have, particularly those with post-traumatic stress disorder. They have a tendency to self-medicate.
That is correct.
You know, and it's a natural reaction, and most of them have depression problems, so they're going to be on different psychopathic drugs and psychotropic drugs that they get on the street.
Yeah, we're very fortunate here in Lackawanna County to have a bench, meaning all of our judges, to be very, I don't want to say proactive, but they're very involved with the community and with different ideas. We not only have the treatment court for the drug portion of the addiction, we have a DUI court, we have the veterans court, we have the mental health court. These are all alternative courts that are dealing with specialized problems for people that are dealing with issues. Even the mental health court, when you take a look at the number of people that are currently out in any prison system, I remember Judge Harhut telling me a few years ago that 76% of the inmates out at the Lackawanna County prison are dealing with some type of mental health issue.
Wow.
And so with that in mind, you know, you have to think of how could we help these individuals, because when they get out, we don't want them committing crimes again because they'll just be right back in there. You're looking to get them some type of help so that recidivism rate is again cut to a certain extent, so they're not going out there and committing these crimes over and over again.
You know, the days are past, at least in Lackawanna County, where the philosophy of the prosecutor is put them in jail for as long as you can.
Well, sometimes that needs to be done, though, especially with violent criminals involving, you know, whether it's rape, burglary, and things of that, and robbery and things of that nature. Sometimes people belong in jail for a very long time. But there's other people that are involved in nonviolent crimes that, you know, incarceration isn't the answer, because once they get out of prison, they're going to keep doing what they're used to doing when they were out before. And so we have to look out or think outside the box. How do we cut that crime rate of recidivism? So all these programs that we have, you know, are doing that to some extent.
When we come back, I want to take a break now, but when we come back, I want to talk to you about a subject that frightens the daylights out of me, and that's heroin and its explosion in the United States of America and how that's impacting on our county. So please stay tuned to You Be the Judge.
If you are disabled and unable to work, you may be entitled to Social Security benefits. And if you have been paying taxes, then you have earned your benefits. Call the lawyers at O'Malley & Langen, representing Social Security claimants for a quarter of a century.